What's up guys, Smaller Reaver here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and typical Polarium, they've got more summoning events going on. Today it is a 10x Riho. Now I do have several Rihos on my account, so I am not going to pull for her today. However, if you are lucky enough to pull one, or if you already have one, I figured it was a good time to do another dungeon team featuring Riho. We did just do the Sand Devil 25 team a couple of days ago. Super cool, super fun. Does require the Riho in it as well. But today we will be in the Shogun's Grove, looking at also a pretty cool team. I went with one to be a little bit more accessible. Obviously, we do have Riho. We are using a Kymar here as well. But the rest of it is just a couple of max HP epics, Husks, and Royal Guard. So it's a pretty cool team. It's not the fastest, but it is pretty quick. It's sub 1 minute. Is 100% if properly built. There are a couple of tricks to it, so we'll go over those. But again, featuring Riho. Why Riho is so good, of course, is the A2. Places all of these debuffs as well, mainly in this case being the decreased defense and weaken. And then she also has a full cleanse with a big heal on her A3. We do have Brimstone on her. That is actually going to be helpful. It's not required. It just makes the runs a little bit faster. But starting with her, she is the fastest one in the team. You can see she's just in some broken gear. She's actually slower than the one for the Sand Devil team. I tried it as both, and unfortunately it doesn't work. You do need to slow her down. I'll explain why. So she can't be used for both in the same build, or we can try to find some sort of middle ground. But for the speeds that I have on this one, she does need to be a slower. In this case, she is 285. Enough accuracy to land. The rest of it doesn't matter a whole lot. Getting some damage into her will just help on this one, because it'll just speed up runs. We'll go over that a little bit later. As far as masteries go, we've got her down to Eagle Eye just for the extra accuracy, things like that. Now, Kymar is going to be the trickiest of the builds. Reason being is he is the target of the Phantom Shogun, so he gets hit, and he gets hit hard. So he is our crit damage tank. What that means is the Phantom Shogun does target your champion with the highest crit damage for its opening attack, and pretty much all of the attacks. Or, well, from there, it targets the feeble. So the highest crit damage champ is going to be the one that gets targeted and gets the irresistible, protected, enfeeble placed. And we want that to be Kymar. So, one, he has to have the highest crit damage on the team. We don't really care about him doing damage, so crit rate doesn't matter. But super high crit damage, just higher than the rest of them, which doesn't actually have to be 300. It just has to be relative to the rest of your team. And then really, really good survivability stats. So in this case, we got 88k HP, 4.2k defense. He is in broken sets. However, you can, or you got one immortal set. However, you can put him in regen set. Also helps. Basically, he just needs to stay alive because he gets hit, and he gets hit. He is the only target. After that, we've got our Royal Guard. He's in Savage, 228 speed. You can see he does not have a ton of crit damage, which actually you don't really need. This is actually my Dark Fae build. But in a Savage set, you don't actually need a ton of crit damage in order to hit the 10% damage cap, which makes it then easier to build your Kymar. But in this case, we've got Royal Guard in the Savage. Husk, I'll explain the accessories as well in a second here. Well, Royal Guard, we've got down a War Master. Cycle of Magic also going to be super helpful in this team. For our second Husk, he doesn't have any masteries. Putting masteries on him would of course help. He is in a Savage set. We've got 221 speed. He is positive affinity for 25, so he only needs 85% crit rate in order to hit that crit cap. 265 crit damage. Rest of it doesn't really matter. He's not taking. They're not taking any hits. This one I tried in Reflex. It doesn't really help. He doesn't take enough turns for Reflex to really help. Relentless you can just do Savage so that you can keep the crit damage requirement low. But however you want to gear him, the reflex doesn't really help all that much. What does actually help in this team are the refresh accessories. And actually, if I was going to rebuild this team to use, which I very well might do, I would actually put them in triple refresh accessories, all three of these guys. Because essentially what's going to happen here, as far as masteries go, he is down to War Master. Again, we can do Cycle of Magic. I just kind of threw these ones together. They are not optimally built for this team. But yeah, the Cycle of Magic, the refresh accessories are all going to help a ton to get them back to their max HP skills. As far as the team goes itself, you can see we got Riho in the lead, which does absolutely nothing. In fact, we could probably switch that up. Does any of these guys actually do anything? Dungeons, attacking dungeons. It's all enemy max HP, so it doesn't really matter. We're going with it anyway. Where'd it go? So here we go. Presets. Riho's going to open with her A2, and then we're going to prioritize the A3. This and her speed is particularly important. I'll explain as we go through the run. Kaimari is just going to prioritize the Cycle of Magic as he always does. Royal Guard, we're going to turn off the hamstring. We are going to prioritize the takedown. With that, because we only have one, that's where I was trying to see if the reflex set would help, because we're only using one skill. They just don't take enough turns for it to really matter. Husk, same thing. We're only turning on his A2. His A3 we're turning off. This is the same with both of them. So pretty simple presets here. And then as we go into the run, you can see that we are... First, Kaimar is going to get hit. And then we're going to place all our debuffs with the A2. We get our enemy max HP smacks. Kaimar resets before the boss goes. That's part of his speeds that we have. And then everybody goes again. So now it is just a matter of us waiting for these guys to get back to their enemy max HP skills. And then once the boss circles back around here, once the next turn, whenever he spreads the Enfeeble, we need to make sure that Riho is set in order for her to do her cleanse right there. So the faster Riho, she would go before the boss, which would cause us to fail because everybody would be enfeebled then. So that is where that lower speed actually comes in play. You can see 50 seconds there. That's the typical speed as far as if we don't get any refresh accessories on anybody. And then as long as Kaimar stays alive, because he's the only one getting hit, as long as he stays alive, the run is 100%. Depending on that survivability build that you have on him, if he takes multiple crits, things like that, he could die. In the case of mine, it gets really close, but he actually has not died yet in this current build. And then if you get the refresh accessories coming through on the DPS, it's going to go much faster. So if any of them cycle back around here, it's about a 30-second run or so. Then we get our cleanse, and we finish it off. 45 seconds on this one. So those are the key points. The ascension levels actually don't help a ton. If you do get stuck, like with the turn order, things like that, if somebody hits with a feeble, particularly Kaimar, he does get one hit in there, which will up that counter, but everybody else will just knock it down. It's not a big deal. If we do get the Brimstone, that also helps speed everything up. But pretty cool team. If you want to farm 25, like I said, Newt handles 24 really easily. However, with the CVC points being added, 25 is going to be a much better return on that. And unless you have infinite energy, you're not going to be in a race to get it to the fastest time anyway. So I like this team. I think it's pretty cool. I'll probably end up using it for CVCs. Other than that, I'll probably stick with the Newt team just because that one can use the faster Riho and I don't have to switch speeds. but I like it. Thanks for hanging out, guys. That's about all I got for you today. Leave me some comments. What do you think? We'll catch you in the next one. Later.